I'm going to begin by saying I'm grateful to be here, not just in this beautiful landscape that is in Nairobi, Kenya, which is just lush, 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 lush green. Look at that, bubbling over with fertility. But no, here, 45, about to be 46 in a few weeks, and feeling pretty healthy, happy, good things happening. Life is ticking, but equally hitting that 40s mark, more really in the last year or so. The amount of things that are occurring in my body, in my life, in my mind, in my outlook is really quite astonishing. And I see it echoed and mirrored when I speak to my friends, all of us in this kind of age range, if you like, figuring out different things. Some of us are married, some of us are co-coupling, whatever you call it. Some of us are single. Some of us are discovering ourselves, who we are, what we want, what we like. And it just doesn't really seem to stop. But equally, you get to a point where you've been doing you for quite a while. And I think when we get to around this 45, early 40s, and I guess throughout this whole decade really, you start to think about, okay, is this where I wanted to land? Is this where I wanted to be at this point in time? And so I wanted this space to be able to look at what some of my sisters out there, in the lovely range of 40 plus, are thinking, feeling, doing, discussing, how they're growing older differently. Because there are so many people doing so much interesting things, so many interesting things, discovering new careers, new hobbies, new outlooks on life, new sexualities, new forms of identity, giving themselves permission to not go quietly off into that good night as if it's all over, but really start to think, okay, at this stage in my life, what do I want to do now? So that's really what I want to have this space be, a space to explore some of these things. And while talking to people and getting to understand their stories, it also is a way for me to be getting some tips, some insights into this wonderful, scary phase of life of being a true and complete adult and dealing with all things adulting. Horrible, horrible term, but to be honest, there's nothing better to describe just trying to do this adult type responsibility, with all the fears of wanting to achieve certain things before it's too late, or before life takes another awkward turn, or before the unexpected visits upon you. And the unexpected always has this ominous feel to it, but it could also be unexpectedly marvelous. And even that is something you might have to adapt and learn how to be comfortable with. And so this is just really a quick little intro into what we're going to be looking at and exploring through growing older differently. So I guess it would only be fair for me to talk a bit about how I'm growing older, and what that means to me. It's been a shock, I'm not going to lie to you. Definitely from about the age of 43, as I say, I'm 45 now. I've started to see shifts. I think I've managed to stay quite youthful for quite a bit of time. And then 44 really is when everything just sort of dialed it up like crazy. So I will be looking at things like the wonderful and scary world of fibroids, because that's something I've had to face up close and personal. It's an area that I've discussed a lot in different spaces. I've held space for workshops to take place. I've had talks. I've had people talking about how to eat and how to look after yourself. I've had it happen upon many people I know, which is no surprise because of the high statistics and levels of women of colour particularly having fibroids. I just never sort of thought it would be me. And I thought if it was, I'd know what to do and how I'd feel about it. And I really, really didn't. So we'll talk a bit more about that as we go. Then there was the wonderfulness of all these helpful friends going on and on about bloody menopause and everything coming down to that. And maybe I've been in denial. Maybe it's just not something I wish to have to engage with in a way that it's presented to me to engage with it. It's like, oh, it's perimenopause. It's your body's degenerating, and it's all going to go downhill, and you're going to lose your memory, and you're going to dry up, and you're gonna, and it all sounds quite crap. And then I did see a clip. I think it was from Fleabag, which is a series in the UK, and the main person in Fleabag was speaking to this actress I love. She was in Four Weddings and a Funeral and so many other things. And then they end up talking about menopause, and she says it was the most freeing and fabulous thing that she went through. It gave her body back. And you don't hear about it in those kind of terms. You just hear about how your hormones will take over, and then you lose all this stuff and all of this kind of thing. So that's the approach I wish to go into that phase when it comes upon me, which is not now. I may well be in perimenopause, and according to a little thing called blood tests and such, I am entering into that space. So I'm just trying to figure out what that means to me. I've also felt so many changes in my body, and I found it quite difficult, quite challenging really, to feel my body slow down, but actually feel it, and feel my energy levels not being what they were, and forgetfulness clicking in, and just not being viewed as the person I see myself as inside. And also even trying to understand that. How do I see myself? Like, do I see myself as a middle-aged woman? I don't see myself as a young person, but I don't see myself as an old person. I'm still trying to figure out how to view myself. And some would say, oh, it doesn't matter, just be. And it's like easy enough. And it's an admirable thing to just be. And for those who've managed to find that space of self-acceptance, hats off to you, and I'd love you to come and talk to me in this space. But otherwise it could be quite challenging, even right down to how do I dress, how do I hold myself, how do I interact, how do I date, how do I view my sex and sexuality, how do I think about interacting with men and women and parents and siblings and family members and nieces and nephews, and am I that aunt demanding respect, or am I the fun aunt, or am I somewhere in between? And the overthinking on my part is real. And I know some of you are looking at it like, God, this girl's doing way too much. Give yourself a break, a chill pill, and go and have a cool glass of Chardonnay. Can't even have the Chardonnay. I'll tell you a bit more about that also as we go along. But I'm liking sparkling water with a twist of fresh lime. So I'm all right with that. But on the whole, I get so much inspiration, I really do, from seeing the people around me in my world, and the actors and actresses and celebrities and the others that we look at in the public space, and see how they're embracing getting older, being older women in this society, being older women in their families, being older women in their communities, and refusing to accept what that can mean for us, put upon us by other people. So I'm just so intrigued and excited to explore the God within us, the growing old differently within us, growing old distinctively, growing old determinedly on our terms, and just seeing where it all can go. I'm excited about that. So I'm beginning right now. You're taking this initial steps with me, and I just want to play and explore during 2025. I want to learn. I want to see what I can do to help myself, and in so doing, hopefully help you, and you on your journey, help me and help others to see what we can do to make this period of our lives as exciting and fabulous as we'd love it to be. I mean, I hear so many people saying life begins at 40, 50 is even more fabulous, and 60, forget about it. Freedom, throw your knickers in the air, fling your bra to the wayside, and be exactly who and how you want to be. So I'd like to embrace that energy, and I invite you to take that journey with me. So think about how you're growing old differently. Think about that God force in you and how you would like to share it with others. And I really look forward to exploring all this wonderful landscape with you. Thanks, and until the next time, take care.